Hola mis amigos, ¿cómo están? Soy Joani. Hoy es domingo, episodio 10. So episodio 10. Alright guys, so if you remember in episode 3 we went through how to conjugate and use AR verbs. Well, in today's agenda we're going to learn how to conjugate and use ER verbs in Spanish. Alright, so on today's agenda what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some verbs, ER verbs in Spanish to help improve your vocabulary. Then after that, we're going to conjugate them so you can actually use them. And then third and finally, I'm going to give you 3 quick questions just to test you. And I want you to see again if you can get those right, because that's a sign that it's kind of starting to sink in and make sense. Okay? So, vamos. Let's get into it. Comer. So, comer. Also got responder. So, responder. Correr. Correr. Another useful one is leer. Leer. And finally, we've got aprender. So aprender, to learn. So, second, how do we conjugate and use these verbs? So let's use the verb aprender to start with. So remember with our Spanish verbs, we conjugate them according to who we're speaking about. So first, what we do is we take off the E and the R at the end. Okay, now let's go through the conjugations. So if you're talking about yourself, you'd say, yo aprendo. So yo aprendo, I learn. You've got tú aprendes. So tú aprendes, you learn. Él o ella aprende. So él o ella aprende, he or she learns. Next up, nosotros form, we've got nosotros aprendemos. So nosotros aprendemos, we learn. And then ellos o ellas aprenden. So ellos o ellas aprenden. So they learn. So you see those conjugations. If you're talking about yourself, you add an O. Talking about to someone else, like to you, you use ES at the end. Him or her, you chuck an E at the end. Aprendemos, M-E-M-O-S. And then finally, if you're talking about another group of people, you'd add the E in the end, on at the end. Alright, so that is how you conjugate ER verbs in Spanish. Now I've got tres preguntas, 3 questions for you to test you. So let's see if you can get it. Let's use the verb aprender. So how would you say, I learn a lot in my school? So I learn a lot in my school. Bearing in mind the word for school in Spanish is escuela. Escuela. Okay, so you'd say, aprendo mucho en mi escuela. So aprendo mucho en mi escuela. Good. Alright, pregunta dos. Let's use the verb comer. So how would you say, they don't eat seafood? So they don't eat seafood. Bearing in mind the word for seafood is pescado. So pescado. Okay, you'd say, no comen pescado. So no comen pescado. Alright, cool. Alright, pregunta tres. So third and final question, let's use the verb correr. So if I want to say we run in the park each week, how would you say it? Bearing in mind the word for week is semana. The word for park is parque. And the word for each is cara. So we run in the park each week. Okay, simply say, corremos en el parque cada semana. So corremos en el parque cada semana. Alright, cool, cool. So that is it for today, guys, and that is how you use and conjugate ER verbs in Spanish. So that's regular ER verbs in Spanish. Once again, that's all from me. Keep practicing. If you've got any other questions, fire them my way. But apart from that, nos vemos pronto.